Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well, especially in the middle of this crisis. I know everything's kind of crazy, and I wasn't even going to get on here and say anything because I thought, what in the world could I say? What do I have to offer? And thinking if I had anything to offer. And I started just thinking about this pandemic and everything that's happening and how it's affecting everyone. And hearing the news and listening to people talk. There's a lot of voices out there, you guys. There's a lot of voices that you can choose to listen to or choose not to listen to. That's up to you. But I started thinking about how certain circumstances and situations can either bring out the best in people or it can bring out the worst in people. And I think about how people are fighting over water and toilet paper. I mean, does it really have to come to that, right? And I started thinking about if someone was to write a book about this time, what's happening now at this time, would you want to be known as, to go down in history, to be known as someone who did something great or someone who acted a fool? I mean, come on now, let's be real, right? Like I said, it can bring out the worst in us or it can bring out the best in us. And then I started thinking about the people's opinions that I was hearing. Joel and I, we went to the store and we were smack dab in the middle of a conversation because we were waiting outside to get into the store. And people are just voicing out their opinions. And Joel and I are staying quiet. We're just listening. And people are kind of looking at us like, why aren't you laughing at what I just said? Or do you have an opinion to say, And and I started thinking about their opinions and what was said. And I thought, not one person had the mindset to think of other people, how it affects everyone as a whole. But everyone there was sharing their opinion about how it affects them in their personal life. And I get it. But it's not just a me, myself, and I that this is happening to. This is affecting everyone one way or another. And I started just hearing these conversations about how people are just complaining about how the stores weren't prepared for the fights to break out. And then when the stores do finally get things under control and have crowd control and finally start implementing some things, people are complaining about that and how that's being done and how they don't like how it's being done. Just hearing people talk about Congress and the president and mayor and the decisions that are being made. It's all the why did or why didn't they? They should have or they shouldn't have. Just hearing all this and just thinking, you can't please everyone. You cannot please everyone. And you have to remember that that's not the goal. The goal is not to please everyone. The goal is for the safety of everyone, because this affects everyone. And I started thinking about the word high maintenance. And I looked it up. It says, the definition of high maintenance is needing a lot of work to keep in good condition. And I thought, okay, some people are high maintenance in their possessions and the materials they own. Some people are high maintenance in the way they dress, the cars they drive, the houses they own. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not judging. I'm not saying anything against that. But I want to add to that with that being said, shouldn't we be high maintenance about our attitudes and our behaviors? We should be high maintenance about how we react or respond to certain things or situations such as this, right? I remember, I'll never forget the day. I remember taking a trip with my two little kids. I took a trip with them and two friends and their kids. And we all went to Knott's Berry Farm. We drove to LA, went to Knott's Berry Farm. And what was supposed to be a great weekend, for me, it was not. It was not a great weekend. It was just so interesting because on the way up there, I was super excited. Excitement had built up for this trip. I was like, man, I'm going. I'm taking my two little ones. I get to go with friends, and we're all just going to go and have a great time. But when I get to the hotel that night, something in me flipped. Like it just switched on me. And I had an attitude. I didn't like what the man behind the counter said or something, and I had an issue. And from that moment on, I could not get out of that funk I was in. In fact, I kept getting deeper and deeper because I went to the very next day, we went to Knott's Berry Farm. We're at the park and we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves. They may have, I think my friends really did, but me, my perspective, I couldn't stand it. One, I booked a weekend where it was spring break. I didn't think about that because I homeschool my kids. And so my kids don't always take breaks. I give them maybe breaks later on when I know I'm going to need it. So I might work them through certain holidays and breaks and stuff like that, just to be able to make up for that. But in my mind, I didn't think about spring break, right? So everybody and their mama was at Knott's Berry Farm that weekend. So I'm irritated. I'm like, there is way too many people, and my kids were little, so I'm pushing this big old stroller, and that's hard to push a stroller through crowds. Like if it was just standing room, okay. But no, I've got this big old thing I have to maneuver around people. And I remember standing in line. I stood in line for like an hour to get my lunch. And it was hot. So I'm complaining about the heat. Right? I'm complaining about how many people are there, and I have to stand in this line for super long to get the food. And then I get the food, and I go and place it on top of the stroller, and I turn for a second, and the stroller falls backwards. There goes the food that I just waited in line for an hour with, right? And so I'm upset about that. And then, so the whole weekend, let me just tell you, the whole weekend, long story short, I'm just complaining about everything. And I am snapping at my children. And I'm just like, man, this was supposed to be fun. And I'm trying. It's like I'm trying to, like, okay, come on. This was supposed to be a fun trip. What are you doing, Amber? This isn't like you. But it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I noticed on the way home, I was driving, and I had this pain in my knee. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Like something else now? Like this? And it was painful. I was adjusting my chair, to moving it up, moving it back, whatever I could do to relieve the pain, trying to stretch my leg out, every chance I could get while I'm driving, and nothing was relieving it. And of course, now I'm complaining about my knee. And mind you, my friends, I'm not complaining to them because I'm in my head. I'm complaining in my head, and it's affecting me inside. Excuse me. And so through all of that, I thought, oh my gosh, this is really bad. And I think that weekend trip was the peak of my complaining. It was like, it went from bad to worse to the worst, right? So I get home, and I'm so upset about our situation and just things going on in life, and how certain circumstances in life turned me into this complaining person. And I was like, man, I really don't even like myself right now. I don't like what's coming out of my mouth. I don't even want to be around me. Like, I need to just shut up because, and I don't know about you, but do you feel like that? Like you can't be around people that are negative and that just complain? That's me. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't be around that. I don't like it at all. And so in that time, to be that person the very person that I didn't like being around, it was affecting me even more so. But I remember driving one day, and I thought, you know what? Enough is enough. I am so done, so over this. I was complaining about every bad, every wrong, everything and everyone. And I thought, you know what, God? I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like myself. I don't like what comes out of my mouth. I don't like what's in my heart right now. And I said, God, from this point on, no matter what, I will find the good in every situation. And I did. I found the good in every situation. I began to apply that to my life. And I began to thank God, no matter how small it may seem, I thanked God for it. I thanked God for I found the good and I thanked him for it. And I tell you, that was game changer for me. That was game changer for me because ever since that day, I still continue to this day to live it out. And it has helped me tremendously because I didn't realize that by magnifying my problem over God, bigger than God, that I was actually hindering myself from feeling God's peace and his joy. It's like the joy was sucked out of me and I did it to myself. I removed God's joy from my life because of my complaining. Let me tell you, that knee situation, when I got home, I came across this scripture. It's Proverbs 15:30. And it says, good news brings health to the bones. And I knew instantly what God was telling me. He's like, yeah, your complaining, your negativity is causing you pain in your knee. Now, people can get kind of like offended by all of this. I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but I'm not saying this isn't the case for some. And for me, it was the case that my complaining and my negativity caused me to start having knee pains. I don't even want to think about what else it would have affected had I continued on down that path, right? So in all of this, I want to be a voice to bring encouragement that rather than focusing on what's been taken away, let's focus on what's been given to us. Time, people. How many of us even say, man, I wish I had time? Well, here it is, you guys. Time has been given to us. Let's use it wisely. Don't waste it. Don't look back however many weeks from now and say, man, I wish I would have used that time better. Use this time wisely. Get closer with your family. Get to know your family. Get to know each other. Get closer with your spouse. Get closer with your children. Get closer as a family. Have more family time. Use this time to rest, right? Many of us are just running around crazy here. Well, now here's a situation where God can use, where he's like, okay, now I have your attention. Rest in my peace. And rest in knowing that I'm in control. I'm the one on the throne here. And use this time to get closer to God. God is speaking, and there are so many things that he wants to share with you. Use this time to get closer to God. Get in your word, you guys. Don't use this time watching TV all the time or getting on social media or reading books that you shouldn't even be reading. Whatever the case may be, don't use this time that is going to do nothing but leave you empty. I'm not saying never. Have family time and watch a movie together. But use this time that doing things that are going to fill you up with goodness, with God's peace, with his love, with encouragement during this time. So take that time that's been given to you, take that rest that's been given to you, even work out, relieve some of that stress. Some of you guys may be stressing out, go work out, relieve some of that stress, so that you can make you better for your family, so that you can be better. Because again, this affects everyone around us, right? So I want to encourage you guys, be high maintenance about your attitudes and your behaviors. We don't have to act a fool. We don't have to act crazy. We don't have to be quick to react. We don't have to be quick to respond. But just take care of you in your attitude and your behavior to make you better. I challenge you. I challenge you in this time. And don't panic. Don't worry. We are covered. We are protected. And just, I understand those that are being affected by all of this in so many different ways. One thing I want to encourage you is the only way we're being affected by this is that we're not able to go to church services during the week. So I want to encourage you. There are a lot of churches doing church online. Bring church to your home. Don't just sit at home, do nothing. Worship God. Pray. Get in your word. Bring church to you, to your home, to your family. And just enjoy each other's company. Relax, rest, have peace, and try not to worry. It's going to be okay. None of this came by surprise to God. Trust in Him. He knows what He's doing. God bless. And you guys, I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for families. I'm praying for everyone in every situation that I can think of in my mind. So just know you're being prayed for. I love you guys. Be encouraged. God bless. Take care.